Right, good afternoon, everyone. This is one of our many IBM storage sessions that we've run specifically around the entry-level product range, and today specifically the FS5200, and the reasons for that will become clear. So I just wanted to run through some kind of starter for 10 slides with you before we get right into the thick of this. So moving on. So a lot of the IBM presentations that we've seen since probably the beginning of last year, when the portfolio was refreshed and made very simple, one single portfolio, is this word simple, right? Keep it simple, it's very simple. And I just want to keep that thread going through this, because that's the art of these entry-level boxes. I don't know how many of you managed to join the partner forum on Tuesday, but Sriram, who's the UKI general manager for IBM, he basically went through quite a few of these kind of relevant aspects of what customers are looking at today. So, you know, cost and agility is high importance, tech relevancy, speed, automation, security, and cost optimization, right? So, you know, how can technology help with digital transformation with the lowest risk and maximum benefit? I mean, that was kind of one of the key things that I took away, and I thought about that when we were putting this slide deck together. So you'll be familiar with this kind of escalating portfolio of products that's been around since the dawn of time, but it's only been the last year that we could truly say that that's one family. Q1 last year, the flash system portfolio was refreshed and made into one true scalable family. And then Q1 this year, the FS5 range was refreshed, and that gave us some new talking points. So, you know, focusing on that, and more importantly, focusing on the flash system 5200. So what do we know about the 5200? It's part of the flash system family. It's part of that portfolio. That portfolio being enterprise, entry to enterprise, which means, you know, not only is your conversation easier, you know, the appropriate box can be ascertained either going up or down the family from one single kind of backbone, being the virtualized backbone that we're all very familiar with. But this box is a little bit different, right? You know, everybody's heard the pizza box analogy that's been around since we were more familiar with x86 boxes. But that, you know, that's a real big thing. There are applications out there where the smaller the system can be, the better fit the box will be. So, you know, when we talk about the edge, look at things like IoT, which is driving computational workloads at the edge. Maybe that's something like IoT sensors, cameras with embedded technology. They're largely storing data on small servers at the edge and doing some level of computation. But as that increases and the demand on those workloads increases, and the edge gets smarter, for want of a better analogy, the demands on that storage are increasing. So the smallest footprint storage box that you can put at the edge, the better. And cost effective is going to be a key driver for that as well. And we're not only talking about IoT. I mean, this could be branch offices. This could be in things like if you go on mute. Sorry, everybody. I'm just going to mute everybody. Yeah, so branch offices and things like you know, it could be retail. Everybody. I think most business partners have had some experience in selling some sort of branch office level infrastructure. And then we talk about enterprise features. So, you know, NVMe, FlashCore, and Flash, they're both industry standards now, but FlashCore modules in an entry-level box, I mean, it's pretty amazing stuff, really. And simple, again, simple to configure and simple to operate. You can deploy these boxes fairly quickly. You can consume existing capacities using virtualize, and you can monitor and watch those boxes using things like Storage Insights, which is deployable with the system, and simple to acquire and simple to upgrade. So the configurations are simple. The predictable costs of scalability. It's good that you can actually have that kind of look out into the future of how much things are going to cost as you increase that footprint. And then with security, obviously 6 nines, replication, hybrid cloud, and FCM reliability. So that's the flash core modules. IBM confidently state that no flash core module has worn out in production environment yet. I don't think that means no flash core module was ever broken. I think there is always failures in hardware, but they've never worn one out. That was always a concern, that flash could potentially wear out, right? And maybe more so than you hoped, but no flash core module was ever worn out in production. And then competitively priced. Not only are we stating this, but we're being told this by the partners. I think that's a key point. These are priced right, these boxes. In some cases, maybe a little bit too much right. We don't want to be swapping out all that enterprise level hardware for entry level boxes if we can help it. But sometimes that's the thing you have to do. I'd rather sell something than nothing. So what if we want to get a bit punchy? If you've seen the Eric Herzog slides and the videos that he puts together, he really goes to town on the numbers, right? I'm not going to do that, but one of these systems for an equivalent config could take up a quarter of the rack space of an HP Nimble box, half a Dell EMC Unity box, and that take out competitive systems and other IBM systems by migrating using virtualize. And that's still a strong message, still as strong as it was, where are we now, 11 years ago, when V7000, and 18 years ago since the SVC, it's been around. And then we get into the stats. This is an entry-level box that, and I'll name drop the competitive product. It was a 4-way clustered Nimble box. 1U produced far more IOPS on this 5200 than that 4-way clustered Nimble running storage class memory. So you can see the cost saving, the space saving, and all of the other economies that you can bring to bear on that type of conversation. If you want any of the information that supports this, I've got it. But go to Seismic. It's absolutely full of competitive information around this box. It's probably one of the best launches I've seen on a system in many years. And the competitive stuff is there. So now just getting through to more simple, right? So we know it's competitively priced, it's quick to price, and it's easy to configure. There's not many options. You configure your FS5200, then you choose your maintenance. It's either 3 or 5 years. There's a basic and an advanced edition, which is your 9x5 or your 24x7 with some other bits and pieces as well to make it more enterprise. And for ease of understanding, the expert care maintenance packages are a fixed percentage of the total hardware price, right? So when you're trying to work out where this number comes from, it's pretty simple. The list price, taking away the quick price discount, that's a fixed discount that IBM publishes every year, plus your deal registration. And I will mention deal registration quite aggressively, because the more we get into quick pricing of these boxes, more unsolicited proposals, more discussions around how cheap these boxes can be. I think that there's a risk that more pricing will get out there in front of our end user clients without having deal registers in place. So it's still really important that you get deal registers done early. I just can't bang on about that enough. I've had so many conversations about long-term communication with an end user client where the business partner hasn't actually deal registered because they felt they had control of that, but they didn't realize another partner was also in there. So deal reg early as possible. Simple, right? So now we know it's a highly competitive box. it's easy to configure, it's quick to price, and it's competitively priced. What more could you want? Or how about price match? IBM will support you with a price match if you find a competitive box of a similar configuration. And, you know, we will give you more detail about this later on. Nick Slater is going to go through some of the promotions and incentives, and particularly this one. So what next? Refresh. Now, there's not always a massive, you know, partners aren't always keen to look at refresh with a 5200 because the last box they might have sold might have been an XIV. I've seen this, right? 5200 is replacing XIVs, not for capacity sake, but workloads moving off of an XIV, and what's left, the residual, is just fit for purpose on an FS 5200, right? So a few years ago, a few £1 million, you know, and now we're just selling a, you know, a few tens of thousands of pounds, right? But where we are challenged on a refresh, where we're in a position where customers are looking to potentially hold firm where they are and not refresh. They want to just do another year's maintenance, for instance. That could be an opportunity because, you know, an FS 5200 could be potentially less with a 5-year contract than that maintenance renewal. Now, obviously, it varies, but that's a reality. Competitive. I mean, this is where we really want to get to, right? We want to get the price of this box in front of clients that have competitive boxes, because these are very capable systems, and we've already talked about the pricing and how competitive they can be, and the enterprise features. So when I talk about unsolicited proposals, there is a load of information about how you can quickly get detailed information about this box, along with a price, with a configuration that we can assist you with. And I can point you to those. When we share the replay of this video, I'll put links into some of this stuff. But we do have a number of business partners that are now doing unsolicited proposals into competitive spaces and accounts that are just not budging with the 5200. So it all sounds very simple, right? So what if it could be even more simple? So there is a way. And that segues me right to Mike, who's going to take you through the next bit.
Thank you, Luke. That was fantastic. So as Luke says, this is a box that we see it as being potentially very disruptive to the market, and we want to get it out there, get it out in front of your customers, and so they can see how much it's going to cost. I mean, what we tend to see is that you guys, you might have a request. You might go, I want 30 terabytes, I want 50 terabytes, but you go, why? The usual state of call might be, well, we'll go with HP, we'll go with Dell, because that's what we normally do. But what if we made it quicker and easier and so effortless for you to quote 5200? And that's exactly what I've done. So what we've been able to do, we've been working as a team over the last couple of weeks, myself, Luke, with Lee Backavoy, who's on the call, and Nick Slater. And we've actually created a Flashsystems 5200 cash cost calculator. Hopefully you can see my screen here. And what we're going to do after this call is going to share this tool with you so that you can actually start to use this to get you real quick initial pricing on the 5200. And just to walk you through it, I'll go through this front page to deal with, to start with, and then I'll go through the actual configuration tool, how it actually works. And it's really simple to drive. And in my analogy world, I mean, I'm a bit of a Formula One fan, and I see it as what we've done here is that IBM might have the garage that takes about a day or 3 days to create a solution. What this is a sub 2 second pit stop. It is that quick to generate your pricing. So you'll be able to give you rough pricing into your customers. You'll be able to see that pricing of what works for you and what budget you can actually start to set for it. But let me just walk through this actual cost calculator tool and what we've actually done here. So what we've done, if you can see my screen here, there's a couple of instructions here. We have a driverless 5200 has been configured for you. The details are on the second page. I'll run for this for you. You simply select the drive and type and size that you require, and select the quantity requires. So what we've done is that we see very much so a D-RAID 6, the way to go. I'm not going to go into the technicalities of that. But if you do require a few drives or less, which you can potentially do with the system, please let us know. Also within the tool, we've done an option of 3 or 5 years for spectrum control. Again, I'm happy to run through the details of spectrum control with you if you wish to understand why that's of value to you. And also we can select 3 or 5 years on 24/7 same day support. And that's, for me, what I see as the key offering for us. And as a partner, one thing you need to really understand is you're able to adjust the discount applied. And this is where you need to speak to Luke, myself, or your IBM or your ISC internally to Tech Data to make sure that you've got that number correct. And of course, all this pricing is subject to change. This is not an official quote, but it gets you out the door really quickly. So quickly, it takes just a minute to do. And as Luke kind of said into one of his slides there, don't forget to get your deal registration for your opportunity. It is first past the post with deal opportunity. So we expect a lot of our partners to be going out to white space customers, people they haven't spoken to before. And that's where, if you've got in there first, get your deal sorted, and then you can start to really make sure that you've got your number defined on your discount straight away. And also, I've just thrown in a few useful links here on the right. I found this particularly useful for new customers, the product tour. It's really quite nice to use. It kind of gives you a bit of an indication. Of course, there's a few articles and a few details for you as a partner, and also items that you can get your client to register to. So if I take you to the input page, it's really quite simple to actually drive this. It's incredibly self-explanatory. So you can see here on the left-hand side, we have our base included components, which is our controller enclosure, our 16 gig 4-port adapter, as encryption enabled, and 256 gig of cache, and of course the power supplies. And because it's 5200, I've got further slides on this later on in the presentation that actually shows it includes a whole host of functionality and features that we'd expect at this level of box. But simply what you do, you'll be able to select your drive and your quantity to whatever you require. And basically, you can either select spectrum control, none, 3 year or 5 year. Go for 3 year, and you can see the prices changing dynamically. You can go again 3 year or 5 year for your support, and it starts to change. And this is your discount applied, which again, please make sure you speak to your account manager inside Tech Data to make sure you get the right. Obviously, you've got a tier reg, it will be better. But what we've also done, apart from this simple item over here that gives you the pricing straight away, it also gives you the usable capacity. We've done this based on RAID 6 configuration, providing protection against 2 drives, which I find really important. And it gives you an estimated effective capacity. And as soon as you're using the Flash Core modules, as we know, Flash Core modules give 2 for 1. So if we're starting to look at different drive types that aren't Flash Cores, your effective capacity changes straight to 1-to-1. So it is a real advantage to use the Flash Core modules, which any of you have been on these presentations before is no real surprise. But what we've done over on the right-hand side is quite, for me, the quite exciting bit of this tool. I get a lot of customers saying to me, "Oh, I know how many terabytes I want, but I don't know what I want." This helps you with that. So simply you can select, you can put in your effective capacity required. So if I would go to 50, it starts to give me a recommendation on the drive's size and the drive quantity required. So you can see if 50 terabytes, it will recommend 9.6 and a quantity of 6. And you can actually see the differences. Say if we would use a 4.8 in the FCMs, we would need 9 of those. And say if we were to use the 6.68s, we would need 10. So it starts to give you like a real idea of actually how we can do different configurations for different customers. And then you can feed this into this side to give you your price. Hopefully that kind of all makes a little bit of sense. On the call, we've also got one of our IBM sellers, Lee McAvoy, who's actually been using this with a lot of our partners as a pilot. Lee, do you want to see if you can make some comments around this?
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks to Tech Data for running with this and building this tool out. As Mike is, I'm very proud of what's been achieved here, because I think this can make a real difference in terms of how quickly and how much effort it takes to get a quote, or at least an idea whether an IBM Flash 5200 is going to be a relevant offer to make to a customer. And just to build on the drive recommendation tool, it's not just saying that the first drive is one that would work and drive recommendation 2 is the second option that would work. It's actually telling you what is cheapest is the first drive recommendation. What is the second cheapest is the second drive recommendation. And if there's a third scenario, because once you start going up to higher capacities, there may only be one answer, but it gives you them in priority order of cost. So you can start doing what's most cost effective. You may choose, if we put in something like 80 terabytes, Mike, at that point, you could do it with 12 4.8s. But if you did do it with 12 4.8s, you'd have to buy an expansion enclosure to add any further in capacity. And that might not be attractive to a customer. So doing it with 8 9.6s, in this instance, isn't just the cheapest, it's also better because it's got 4 additional drives that can be added one by one and D-RAID expanded online whilst the customer's using the system to provide that additional capacity. So the design point for this was absolutely, we want to make life easier for those hardworking business partners who are having to deal with fast changing requirements from customers and not have to wait for the turnaround from Tech Data to just change one thing. Can you make it 9 drives instead of 8?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, there we go. Takes less time to do it than it would take to send an email to Tech Data. Our customer says they want 5 years now. Well, it's going to take Mike twice as long to make that change because he's got 2 fields to change. Because he's got to do the spectrum.
You're testing me here, Lee. You're testing me.
I am. You've passed with flying colours. Effectively, this was designed to make it so much easier for you to be responsive to those customer requests and say, oh, show me this, show me that. And the design point that that Mike was highlighting about the discount applied, this tool can be used live on a WebEx with a customer because the discount applied field, our initial suggestion is you'll want to know what your cost is. So you'll put in the deal reg, big thumb up, you're always going to do a deal reg. You'll do the deal reg value seller discount you'll get and you'll see what your cost is. Then you can decide what percentage discount off of list you're offering to the customer. And then you can put that in and it's still a big number off of list, especially to a white space competitive customer. They're probably not getting 60% off from their existing vendor. You can use this interactively with that customer. And in my experience, when I produced a tool like this for V7000 Gen 1 back in the day, and it was a lot uglier than this, that was a real accelerator of customer opportunity. So what's it cost if I put these drives in this? How much capacity will I get? That. So this tool for IBM sellers should, in a business partner, should make life an awful lot easier. But if you work at a business partner that has non-IBM sellers as well, what we'd like them to use this tool for is whenever they're doing a storage quote, you've seen how much time it took Mike to use this. See what it would cost to do the IBM solution. Because I think more times than our competition would like, the IBM solution will knock the socks off what that business partner is potentially going to position by default. And because it's got deal registration, and because IBM Flash System 5200 doesn't have the market penetration that it deserves, the margin opportunity for business partners is very, very healthy. So that's me done. No slides from me, because otherwise I'd have talked all evening.
Thank you, Lee. I know Lee's been pushing this out to some of our partners as a pilot, and it's been well received. I mean, what we see as TD, we obviously deal with a whole plethora of partners. We see when new systems come out, a lot of people kind of searching for a sweet spot. So we might see a request come in, say for like 80 terabytes on here, and they'll go, well, can I have it in a couple of different drive configurations? And they like, well, that might be 3 of them. And then you go, well, I want 3 and 5 years options. And then all of a sudden you've got 6 spreadsheets in front of you. And really all you want to do is to get to the bottom number to see which one works the best and see which one makes sense. Because, and that's what we're kind of trying to get to here. I mean, you can see that here, I mean, would I ever fill a 5200? We try not to, because if you can get to a point that you've got spare capacity free, you've got room to grow because you have D-RAID expansion, and it's really easy to do. So it makes it much simpler for you to actually generate a proposal and see what works for that particular customer in that particular terabyte range, what they're requesting for. And I say, if you've got customers who are used to buying, say, HP or Dell, and you have that number, you can quickly check to see, well, roughly, what are we talking here for an IBM system? What are we talking for a 5200? And because we're using the FCMs, which IBM are pretty proud of, and to be fair, they are quite amazing technology the more you look into it, it does work beautifully well. So on that,
just to add one more thing there, Mike.
Yeah, sure.
To mention it. When we're talking to white space customers who've bought competitive storage historically, I would suggest asking them if they can tell you, or find out and then tell you, what was the cost per terabyte they paid for their last storage purchase for primary storage, because you would be horrified at how expensive it would be. And this tool is also a what if type tool. So this isn't the largest 5200 out there by some stretch. That can reach almost 700 terabytes when using flash core modules. But we're at, in this case, and this is a customer price because it's not the kind of deal reg quick pricer price. It's £421 plus change per effective terabyte. Customers are paying double or more of that. Customers are paying considerably over £1,000 per terabyte, per effective terabyte. At this point, we should be going and asking those customers if we can go and make them very happy whilst taking their money, and you guys making a lot of margin. That's me.
Yeah, I mean, that's the interesting piece. I mean, some of our competitors talk about ratios and quite outlandish numbers, but really it comes down to, well, how much is it really going to cost you? And sometimes they're so busy talking about what compression ratios they can get, they've actually avoided the conversation of what cost per terabyte is.
Mike, just to illustrate it, could you make it 12 drives and 3 years for everything? And then we'll see what not a particularly large system by our standards could be.
How's that?
Under £300 per effective terabyte. Didn't take long, did it?
I mean, we can go for bigger drives and make it even better. Oh, yeah.
So if you're trying to build a marketing campaign, you can very quickly see what you could get to in terms of an effective cost per terabyte. And as Mike's just said, the larger flash core modules, which won't be right for everybody because not everybody needs 340 terabytes of usable capacity.
Bigger. Yeah.
But the price per terabyte does drop significantly. And I think we can wipe the floor with the competition. We just need to start speaking to more customers about these things.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we want to do. We want to get this out in front of your customers. I know Luke's suggested we can do unsolicited proposals, but leverage your existing relationships to partners that are buying more expensive storage for no particular reason, really, from somewhere else. What have you got to lose, really? That's as I see it. So Cool.
One question, Mike. Are you? I know that this spreadsheet's normally fairly locked down. Are you able to let partners brand it with their own logos?
That's a good question. It is locked down, as you suspect, because there is a bit of secret sauce behind this and a lot of creative thinking, as you should imagine. But I'm happy to sit down with any partner, and if they want to have it rebranded to their colours and their logo and get it done for them, yeah, we can do that for you. I don't see that as an issue. So at the end of the day, your customers are essentially our customers in some respects. But yes, if you want to change this to logos to one of your partners and have your logo at the top and then have it rebranded to your colours, yeah, I don't see that as a problem. What we do with this tool, we regularly update it every month. So today we're on the 29th, right? So I'll be looking to re-update this for May, and then that will run for a month. And then I'll refresh it after that. And based on your feedback as partners, deciding if we should change anything, tweak anything, or add anything that we see particularly useful, whether it be adding extra sections to it. But really, I think the beauty of it is its simplicity. And I don't really want to go too far away from that. It's just a case of if somebody has something particular, and that's why we could certainly work with you as a partner of TD to make sure that this tool is actually right for your users and that you can use it all the time. But yeah, happy to do so. Absolutely. Cool. Right. Without further ado, I think we should move on to, I think we've got Nick Slater coming up, and Nick has some of our offers, which will be useful to use on the 5200. Nick, are you out there?
I am, yes, and thanks for that.
Oh yeah, and if you've got any comments, Nick, of what you think of the tool as well, because you've certainly been using it with some of your partners too.
Hi, can everyone see that? Yep.
If you can just make it big, that's better. Perfect.
Brilliant. So thanks for that, Mike. And I just want to say a big thank you to Tech Data and the team for, what a brilliant tool the tool they've come up with. My name is Nick Slater. I look after the Flashsystems channel for IBM. We've got a brilliant product now, and we've got a price, and we shouldn't be scared to go out and compete with anybody. And I mean that, and we need to pick a lot more fights. We've got the technology, we always had the technology, but we never had the price. The calculator tool can give you the confidence now to pick a fight with anybody, guys. There's a huge market for distributed storage. When I say distributed storage, that's non-mainframe storage. Almost, I think it's like over £1 billion in the UK, and we've just got a tiny slice of that. So there's a huge market to go after. We've got the price and we've got the technology. The tool should give you the confidence. Also, though, we've got other tools out there, such as Storage Digital Platform, which is really addressing that elephant in the room, which was price. I remember the days back in StoreWise, a few of you do also. We always had the good technology, but the price used to put people off. This is just a screenshot with the 5035s. There's also 5200s and 5015s up there. This gives you the confidence, guys, to go out and have those conversations with the customers. Let's pick those fights. Hey, and we've also got a nice catch-all. We've got a price match in the digital platform. So even if it goes really low, you can still compete with these guys. Okay, so we will price match anything from like for like from HP, Dell EMC, NetApp, Lenovo, Huawei, and Pure. So again, giving you guys the confidence to go out there and pick those fights. If you don't want to get into a price fight, that's fine. Let's have a different conversation. The 5200, 7200, and the 9200, they're unique in the marketplace that you can virtualize external storage. We have a better way to grow campaigns, so you can have a different conversation with customers and go after those white space accounts, those new clients. Typically, a customer will buy their storage over a 3-year investment. Halfway through that investment, though, they're probably going to look for an upgrade. Okay, they probably may have fallen out with their existing vendor. They're probably not mad about doing that upgrade. We can actually offer them an upgrade to their capacity. And we can also use the uniqueness I'm talking about to virtualize their existing assets, their non-IBM existing assets, and to sweat those assets and to give them a get out of prison card, because they're going to be looking to upgrade in the next 18 months time. They could upgrade to IBM, hopefully they could upgrade to a different platform. Let's be growing up here. They could migrate to the cloud, but it gives them a get out of jail card. So there's the uniqueness here around the 5200 and 7200 and 9200. So the value statement is IBM Flash Systems will provide an upgrade to your additional capacity going forward while leveraging your existing non-IBM assets. So you can simplify your management, you can ease that data migration, and you can accelerate that performance with those Flash core modules, okay? For the next 3 years at no additional cost, okay? We can't say it's for free, it's at no additional cost. There are qualifying conditions. So this is aimed at new partners, new customers, sorry, because we've got to get into this white space. We've got to pick those fights. There are qualifying conditions. They're not set in stone though. So if you do get an opportunity, please do call and let's have a conversation around that. So that's a different conversation you can have though, if you don't want to get into a price war with the better way to grow promo. Now, this is all great, but what's in it for me? We've got some fantastic incentive for yourselves on Apple AirPods. These are great. Got a pair myself. If you like to go running in the morning or in the evening, they're great to have on. Use with your iPod or your phone. Listen to some music without the cable that you used to do in the old days strangling you. So if you look at the how you could earn these rewards, just for selling one 5015 Flash System 5015, and bear in mind these are sub £10,000 boxes, could get yourself an Apple AirPod. You could sell a 5200, you can get an Apple AirPod Max for yourself, or maybe for your family. So that is a client incentive just for yourself. So please take a look at that. Energizer programs. So we did have the Energizer program last quarter that did include FS 5000. But as you can see, I think we are very competitive as it is around FS 15, FS 35, and FS 5200. We do have the Energizer program though for the 7200 and the 9200 this quarter. So if you've got any deals around there that are in stretch, we can give you an extra 8% upfront. Okay, so you can either pass that on to the customer or add a bit of extra margin. So the Energizer program is up and running for 7200 and 9200s this quarter. For the 5015 and the 5035, double your cash is back. So you buy 32 gig, you can get 64 gig for free. Again, you can pass the saving on to the customer or you can pocket the margin. So don't forget that for the 5015 and the 5035. Also, Pure, our friends Pure, the company that has never made a penny, make a lot of noise about their Evergreen program. We've got the same with Flash Momentum. Just like you'd finance a car over 3 years, you could finance a Flash System 5035. After those 3 years, we will put a new kit down at the same price or cheaper, or you can just walk away. The difference between us and Pure is we don't make the customer sign on the dotted line, so they can just walk away after that 3-year lease. And finally, thanks to our partners out there, we've had a great Q1 and we had a great Q4. IBM, Big Blue, are going to put their hand in their pocket and they're going to donate $1 million to the United Nations COVID-19 Response Fund. I've never seen anything that IBM like this have done in the past. All we're asking is, guys, use social media. We can't always rely on our marketing friends to get our story out there. If you're a Twitter account user or LinkedIn, please let's shout about the Flash system. We've got unique technology, especially around the 5200. We've got the better price out there that I've ever seen. Just use the hashtag IBM Flash for Good. And that's it from me, guys.
Cool. Thank you, Nick. Clearly I need to get tweeting and clearly I need to get some Apple AirPods.
Yes.
But anyway, right. No, thanks for that, Nick. That was good. I've got a couple of slides for us to round off. Hopefully you can see my screen now. We've got best part of 15 minutes plus left. If you do have any questions, there is a chat facility within Zoom. Feel free to drop them on because I appreciate that putting everybody off mute is usually the world's largest disaster. So feel free to put any questions in the chat and we can see how we can help you while we've got a really good panel today. So I've just got a handful of slides just to round us off, not too many to be fair. A lot of them you might have already witnessed here and there. It's just an assembly of what I see as the important things. As Luke has said, and certainly Nick has adhered to, Flash system, very much so a disruptive box was out there in the market. Comparing it to the existing SAS systems that based arrays that are out there, this eats it for breakfast. I mean, if you think of it performance-wise, I know certainly within our business solution centre in Bracknell, we've got a couple of let's say Dell systems and a couple of Hitachi systems and a small HP systems, and we ran a small little benchmark, and this just basically blew it out the water really. And to be fair, those systems, they're only a year or two old. So to get that in there, get this sold in there makes complete sense, and the lower cost is really good. So IBM very much so targeted the fastest growing segment of the market. So, but just to give you an idea of some of the features, I'm not going to go in depth because this is certainly not a heavy technical call, and I think we're heading towards the end of the week and towards a bank holiday. But just to give you an idea of what we've got in there, we've got, of course, the support for the storage class memory, the Flashcore modules, and the industry standard NVMe SSDs. And we can start from a low entry point. Although for me personally, I see 6 drives as certainly the entry route for me. Having that double drive protection makes a lot of sense. But we're always happy to have that debate and that conversation out to you. But then with our systems, unlike some of the competitors, we can just add a single disk, and we can do that seamlessly using D-RAID expansion, which is really easy and a lot of simple for a lot of customers to do. We can also scale out. So if you want to add extra controllers, we can do that. We can add extra expansions if we want to scale up. So we can do that in a number of ways to do that too. Flashcore modules, that always on compression, zero impact encryption. This is not so much a security call. I know Luke's running some great content on security over the last couple of weeks. But that's also another angle for you to go after a lot of your customers out there, because if they're just sitting on their hands on older systems, chances are, will they have a cyber resilient solution? Really, this is where you've got to make sure that everything's up to date and everything's in place and everything is all good. Because what we have seen certainly across the last year or so and the pandemic is that cyber attacks have only increased and only got further and further. As you'd expect, all these flash systems come with 6 nines of availability, and you know what? With it being a 5200 and 1U and being really cost effective, do I expect us to potentially see more hyperswap configurations? Possibly. We've got to start thinking a little bit differently how we deploy these, so we can go to 100%. So yeah, it's going to get interesting of how we can do that, and this tool kind of gives you that ability to say, well, what would it look like if we split it across a hyperswap and give them 100% uptime? What would that do? What would that look like budget-wise? And we can certainly calculate that really quickly using this tool. And of course, all these systems provide a path to other things, which can be a range of public cloud. So we have, of course, a Spectrum virtualized public cloud in AWS and coming out on Azure. And of course, with IBM, we're seeing a lot of conversations around, actually on the top right here, the CSI driver for containers. So, I mean, I'm part of some of our cloud discussions into our partners. I'm part of our multi-cloud project here at Tech Data. And we have a survey out to a lot of our partners. And we're seeing that over 50 to 60% of our partners and customers are actively exploring what to do with containers. Some of them are there, some of them aren't, but a lot of them are checking it out. So to have this capability built into this box is superb. So if you want to have further sessions around containers and how that's all going to work out, please let me know. We're happy to do that. And of course, I run one of our OpenShift clusters as well. So if you need access to that, please let me know. So here's just a couple of features and functions. I appreciate that we're starting to head out on time. I just want to cover any questions if you've got there. So we can see why we see very much so the 5200 of our flagship system, because it encompasses all these what I see as high-end features and functions. So if you read from the bottom to the top, we've got the storage class memory, there's the support for the 500 plus storage systems that I think a lot of us as partners are well aware about, but our customers that are new to IBM won't be. And that's where it gets interesting. Encryption, it should be the default, it should be the standard. Because I see that as, well, we need to have more conversations about our partners and into our clients around cyber resiliency and what we should be doing that. And of course, we've got all the features that go from the low end to the high end. And so that for me is why the 5200 is a really well positioned bot for us. Just a little bit deeper into some of the features and functions, but again, not too much because this is a reasonably high level overview. In our configuration tool, I've actually used the 16 gig HBA in there. But in reality, if you're looking to price up a iSCSI HBA, there's not a lot of price difference. So this kind of gives you a little bit of an indication of a rough idea of pricing. But if you want to go custom, please let us know and we can price it up for you. But you can see all these items included within the system. And again, if you look more at the features and functions, you can see why the 5200 for us is the obvious choice. Because you can see we've got flash kitchen, we've got flash copy, we've got remote copy, easy tier, and hyperswap, and we can cluster systems. So it makes it much simpler for us able to quote there. Okay. So a little bit of drive support. We've got all these listed within our tool, so we can actually define these for you. Happy to run through that with you if you wish to do so. Drive options. This is a little bit of I suppose an indication that I wanted to show you, just to give you an idea of the different drive options in the 5200 and the rough cost per terabyte. This is actually a division of that by the terabyte. So I haven't actually taken into consideration that actually we're going to get 2 for 1 on top. So you can see the differences straight away between a lot of the drives here, of going from an industry standard flash drive to a flash core module makes a fundamental amount of difference. And that's why we see very much so flash core modules as the way forward. And again, here's some of the differences between the adapter cards, just to give you a rough idea of what we're talking here. And of course, some of the cache upgrades. And of course, Luke mentioned at the beginning of his presentation, just between basic and advanced. I see it very much so as most of our clients will be looking at a 24/7 4-hour response. Okay, and just starting to round up now. So this is my personal call to action. I know Luke will have a couple at the end of the call. We have a 5200 sat in our Business Solutions Center in Bracknell. It is available for remote demos. We would love for you to bring some of your customers in there to show them the 5200 and show it around. But to make a great demo, really need to understand why. We just understand what do you want to see, what are your pain points, and then we can set something up for you. Equally, I understand that your clients are precious. I'm happy to give you the keys to our car, if you will, and give you the keys to our 5200 for you to have a look around with it with your client one-on-one. I appreciate that you don't always want extra people on the call, but we're happy to do that too. This is completely available for you as partners. We have partners across Europe using it, and we'd certainly like you to be part of that too. So if you do have customers who want to get to have a look around and to try something out or to do something over a POC, please let me know, and we'll see if we can make that happen for you. It might just accelerate your sale, and it might make a huge difference to your client. But yeah, please do get in touch. This is going to be remotely available for you. We also do have an Ansible Setup, which is plugged into one of our other flash systems as well. So we do have that available too. So we are extending stuff as we go along more and more as we go through. But if you have any ideas or anything that you'd like to see, please let me know. Or say if you want to test drive it yourself for a day or two, just let me know, and we can make that happen for you. Okay, this is my final slide. It's a little bit of a salt on the eyes, you'll see shortly, mainly because of my horrendous color scheme. But it's just, for me, the key talking points of these particular systems that we need to take away. So for me, we start with a simplification of storage, and that's the major bit here. So that having that common specs and virtualize across all the systems is really important for us. I think, as certainly what IBM have done here, is really commendable, and have that ease of implementation on forward going forward is really quite amazing. And then we have list management features, Ansible, CSI interface, the APIs. It's really quite good. And of course, we've got storage insights, which we've barely even touched on in this particular WebEx. Again, we're happy to have conversations with you about this. Spectrum control we've included on the tool. And of course, you can get a 90-day trial of Spectrum control to see what you think of it. And it is really, really good for you to have. Reliability and availability, DRAID 1 and 6, very much so delivers those rebuild times. So to have those protection against 2 drive failures. And again, we can actually go to free site replication on these particular systems as well, and 100% data availability guarantee with Hyperswap. Performance, getting closer to the top. So as we know, these systems perform amazingly well. So we've got FCMs, provide that in hardware line in-base compression and encryption, and of course low latency. So some of the performance out of these boxes is pretty amazing. I mean, some of the performance boxes, some of the performance numbers out of the opposition is quite the latency seems to be quite high on some of them, which is kind of interesting. And of course, we have the option to blend FCM and SCM too. And as we get to the top, we've got cost. So we've got this operational density in the IOPS, the power, the cost per terabytes, the cost per rack queue if you're a hoster. That is a big thing, of course. And of course, the cost per power as well. You can start to cut this a lot of ways, really. And of course, delivering that reliability as we'd expect in those items further down that I've mentioned. So, and of course, we've got flash core modules, which, as we've been told by IBM, haven't actually failed, and the densest flash technology in the industry, which is true, which is really good. And of course, we can do that in front of your existing systems and virtualize over the 500 legacy systems. Okay, and that's it from me. So the flash system, from my point of view, delivers that complete peace of mind, and it's available now. And this pricing, you can get out to your customer ASAP. And if you want to get into our Bracknell BSC to have a look around, or if you want to have a partner call, or certainly, I suppose, with the IBM team or the Tech Data team, we're happy to do that too. So that's it from me. Luke, can I hand it back to you?
Yep, thanks. It's really just a very quick wrap up from me and a bit of a request, really. So we do obviously want to get this tool out to you. So we'll be sharing the replay of this video and the tool with you. We would really appreciate feedback, any questions, any way we can fine tune it, all of those things. And also, you know, I mentioned, and Mike mentioned the unsolicited proposal element. You know, I'd like to help wherever I can. So if you guys think that might be a good idea, you've got a target list, maybe we want to set up a call with the Dublin team to put something together, to go after a set of contacts, then let's do that. And, you know, I can pull to bear all of the content and information that I can, so we can start putting together something which looks bespoke to you, but a lot of the legwork has already been done with regards to the proposals, and then we'll put some pricing together. So yeah, just feel free to reach out and say, yeah, I'd like to do that, Luke, and we'll pull the team together to do that with you, or for you, if that needs to be the case, because I think this needs to be done, right? So yeah, that's really it. And then, not to bang on about it, but don't forget about deal reg. I think as soon as you start getting this pricing out there nice and easy, it'd be quite easy to forget that early day conversations need to be married with a deal registration as well. So please remember that. But yeah, that's it from me. I don't know if Nick and Lee have anything they want to sign off with. Otherwise, I think we're done. But Nick's coming off mute, so there you go.
Just yeah, thanks for joining today. Thanks to the Tech Data team. And if you've got any queries about today, please get in touch with Tech Data or myself. Thanks.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, guys, for joining, and speak to you all soon.
Thanks all.